Good morning, Marcy.
So you are here first and foremost for a daycare announcement, I understand. What can Manitoba families expect?
Well, in Manitoba, families have seen over the past year their childcare fees cut in half. This was a really big and important thing to support families, to support women getting back into the workforce, which is done in greater numbers, happening greater numbers than ever before. But it's also a measure around economic growth and making sure that Manitoba can continue to grow and expand its economic activities. So we're really excited about making a further announcement around affordability today, even as we continue to work on creating more spaces, creating more high-quality daycare spaces. These are the kinds of things that we have to stay focused on.
Now, CBC Manitoba has been reporting on the $10 a day daycare promise since it was signed back in August of 2021. Families are still waiting. The province favors subsidies instead of a flat fee reduction, which is what your government put forward. What do you think of that, and how can you hold the province to account to get that done?
The childcare deals we signed with all the provinces mean that people have to hit that $10 a day average for families, or the money doesn't continue to flow by the federal government. So we are very optimistic that families will continue to feel reduction in fees, and I look forward to an announcement later today. There are different models across the country because every system is different, but the bottom line is families shouldn't be out of pocket more than $10 a day when the system fully rolls out.
Do you have any plans to push the province, though, to say, get this done faster? It's been years, and especially in these economic times, you should be able to institute that flat fee in a more expedient way?
I am looking forward to making an announcement later today that's going to really benefit families. The focus is on making sure that families find childcare affordable. We've done that over the past year with the reductions in fees by about 50%, but we're pushing towards, and we made a commitment that Manitoba families would only be paying an average of $10 a day on childcare.
I'm hearing you, Prime Minister. The press conference is later today. We'll be leaning in. The province, actually, a spokesperson for the province also wouldn't answer our questions about when we could see $10 flat rates. They said go to the press conference. So we will certainly cover today what is said. We move to flooding in Manitoba. Spring's around the corner. There's a good chance Peguis First Nation will flood again. The Fisher River has flooded in Peguis 6 times in 18 years. Federal governments, including yours, have spent at least $24 million since 2006 to help Peguis fight floods. But it is largely at the point of recovery and some preparation. Will your government commit to funding a permanent flood protection solution to Peguis? Can you confirm if you're actively looking at a permanent solution or not?
We are absolutely looking at future-proofing communities right across the country, particularly vulnerable Indigenous communities. We know that the people in Peguis have faced extraordinary difficulty, going back to a flood, I think it was 2011, where they were displaced as well, and some even haven't returned. We need to do more. Part of our disaster adaptation and mitigation strategy is all about building up infrastructure and making sure that floods in the future do not have this same devastating impact on communities, even as we're working very closely with the community to give them the supports now so people can go home and people can feel safe now.
They can't, though, right? And 900 evacuees from Peguis right now are listening, and they're still not at home. One man CBC spoke with was in 7 hotels in the past 9 months and still doesn't have a timeline. I think the point is that permanent solution, and you can't put just a ring dike around Peguis because of the way that the topography is there. But I'm wondering whether or not your government this morning will commit to funding that flood protection. The chief estimates it will exceed $100 million, and it may be, in fact, a series of dikes. Can you make that commitment to Manitobans?
Listen, we are in constant communication with Chief Hudson on what is needed both immediately around safety and repatriation efforts, but also around community infrastructure and flood mitigation. We know that we cannot keep doing this. We need to make sure that the community is safe going forward, even as we help people now, and that's what we're working very, very closely on them with.
Do you feel a sense of responsibility when this happens so frequently to a community that was displaced in the first place from their land? At what point do you feel that?
Absolutely. The federal government in so many cases, whether it's residential schools, whether it's forcible displacement and relocation, whether it's any range of things from child and family services to education to health, has repeatedly over the past generations and centuries failed in its responsibility to be true partners in respect with Indigenous peoples. And we have a lot of work to rebuild that trust and respect. And we've done a lot, but there's a lot more to do, as you point out, and we will continue to be there.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau on CBC with us this morning. I know you've been asked by every reporter you see about China, about the allegations of election interference by China. You have continued to say the system is working, but Canadians have a right to be concerned, was your language. What is that concern then?
Canadians are taking this really seriously because it needs to be taken seriously, as we have taken it seriously. Interference in our elections, interference in our democracy is something that is ongoing from China and others. And that's why when we took office in 2015, we actually started putting in place mechanisms, whether it's an independent high-level panel of public servants to oversee what happens in the elections, informed directly by all of our security agencies who talk also with Elections Canada. We created a committee of parliamentarians from all different parties who have the security clearances necessary to look at all the top secret documents and make sure that our intelligence and security agencies are doing everything necessary to protect Canadians. So we have lots of mechanisms that weren't there before we got elected that go at this. But I can hear and I understand why Canadians are so concerned about this, as are we. That's why we're continuing. Right now at a parliamentary committee, our top officials are testifying publicly to everything that they've done on this issue, and we're going to continue to do more.
You're hearing Prime Minister Justin Trudeau on with us, and we're in fact wrapping up our live interview that we were speaking during World Report. You're going to hear the full interview coming up on Information Radio as he is in Winnipeg. Thank you so much for your time.
It's a real pleasure, Marcy, and we'll talk to you again soon.